Hi everyone, today I'm doing my first meal prep of November, carnivore meal prep, and I'm pushing towards higher fat. I'm Anita from KetogenicWoman.com, where I share keto and carnivore recipes, other cooking ideas that have helped me to lose over 125 pounds. If you're new here, welcome to my journey, and I hope you check out my other videos and my website. For those of you that are returning subscribers, welcome back. I hope you like today's video. Okay, I'm doing a bunch of stuff here. I'm meal prepping. It is almost the end of November. By the time you see this, November will be here. And the first week of November is probably the hardest week of the year for me and the job that I have, the outside job that I have, which is an accountant, and October 31st is our fiscal year end. I need to have food in the fridge because I won't have time to cook all week that first week of November. So I don't know when you'll be seeing this, hopefully November 2nd or 3rd. But I also mentioned that I'm pushing towards higher fat, things like adding butter. I'm trying to get to that sort of 80-20. And so that's kind of why I've got some choices here that I have made for this week, just to make it easier on myself. So I'm just going to run through quickly what I'm going to make. So I've actually already made the eggs. These are cooked. Anytime I do a meal prep, I do eggs, and they're just so handy to have in the fridge because if I say I don't have enough meat or something like that, I can pull an egg out. Or say I have nothing, I can take 3 eggs. So it's just good to have that option. I'm going to be doing some pork belly. Pork belly, if you eat it raw, which I won't be, it's actually more than 80% fat. I think it's like 85-15 in its raw state. Once it's cooked, though, it's almost 80%. It's in the 70s somewhere. And so this is a really good choice, especially if I'm trying not to think the next week. Fatty ribs. These are back ribs. They're also in that 70-ish% range of fat. So I will be adding some butter to these or some other fats. And this is how they come. They come usually in a long strip, and I'm going to be separating them and baking them in that pan in the oven. They happen to be special, marked down $4 or whatever, so that's great. And I'm going to be cooking some beef. This is regular ground beef. So for the people in Canada, we have regular, we have lean, we have extra lean. The regular is the one that is the closest to your 80-20 if that's where you're trying to go. So that's what I chose here. And today I am going to sous vide this because I had an epiphany the other day, which I'll explain when we get to that part. But it was exciting for me. Make sure that you stick around to the end because I made a list of foods and what their approximate fat percentage versus protein is, and I thought I would share that with you. For those of you that are doing this 80-20, it'll give you some meal ideas and ways to combine your proteins and butter to help you through. I'm going to be relying on this next week when it's so busy. So I'm going to start first by doing the ribs, getting the oven on, throwing these in the oven, and then I'm going to come back to this and talk about these other things. So I want to take these out of the package and cut them up. So I'm just going to make myself some room here. I'll take them out of the package over there in the sink and bring them back here. Okay, I'm just wiping them down with a paper towel just to get the moisture off. And now I want to cut them up because my plan is to put them in here. I just set the oven to 300. And so now I'm going to cut them into single ribs. It's just easier that way. Okay. I don't bother taking anything off. Like some people take this membrane off. The way I cook it, low and slow, it's just going to be melt in your mouth, and all of these bits and pieces that are hanging on to this rib bone are full of collagen, very good for you. So I'm eating it, and I don't have any trouble with that. It's all it's really melt in your mouth if you cook it nice and slow. So I am going to try to arrange them in here so that they all fit, because that's always the challenge. It's like a jigsaw puzzle.
Uh-oh, are we gonna make it? Yes!
Just going to make it. So there they are. What'll happen is I don't add liquid or anything. They will cook in their own juices. You could sear them first if you want. I usually do that with the big, chunky, short ribs. I don't usually do that with this, but you could. Or you could do it after. That's also an option. I am going to put some salt on them. I just want to wash my hands first. I have some smoked Celtic sea salt, applewood smoked. So I'm going to give that a try today. So I got this from the butcher shop, but I have seen, I mean, nowadays there's so many salts out there. I don't think you'd have any trouble finding it on Amazon or maybe at your local gourmet food store or butcher shop. I'll see if I can find it, this one online. I'm not sure. I haven't seen it anywhere else, but you never know. Okay, so I will put this over by the oven, and when that oven comes up to power, this is going to go in 3 hours at 300 degrees. I also wanted to say, if you don't have a pan like that, that is a really heavy pan, and it pretty much makes an airtight seal. The lid and everything fits so nicely together. I pretty much use that for everything now because it works really well. If you don't have something like that, it's really important that all the juices and everything stay in. So what I would do is just put them in a regular pan, wrap them in parchment, and then wrap that in foil and just make it super tight. And then put that in a pan, a casserole dish or some kind of a pan with sides in case any of the fat does leak out. You want to make sure you protect the bottom of your oven from that. That will work as well. I like that because it's simple. Okay, what am I going to do next? I think I'm going to do the burgers next. So this is just 1 pound. I'm going to make 4 burgers out of it. And it will take the same time as that because I'm going to sous vide. Now, I said that I had an epiphany. When you sous vide, so okay, let me back up. I love medium rare burgers. But everybody looks at you, like you can't even order them in a restaurant because they say, oh, we can't do that. I mean, although there's been a couple that actually do it for you. But they generally don't want to do that because everyone considers a medium rare burger to be too dangerous to eat. And yet I see people eating it raw on YouTube and stuff. I don't want to eat it raw. I just want to eat it medium rare. The thing with sous vide is that it actually pasteurizes what you put in there if you do it for a certain length of time. So I found out that with beef, depending on the thickness, if you do it at 135, it takes about 3 hours to pasteurize your burgers. So that's what I'm going to do today. So I need my trivet. Okay, so I have got my wand in here. I'm going to need more water for sure, so I will add some. I'm going to turn the kettle on. I want to set this to 135 for 3 hours. The other day when I was rummaging around looking for something in the garage, I found my silicone bags. So I'm going to try to figure out which ones are going to be best for this. Let's see. I'm going to do... I'm not sure if I can fit it all in one or if I'm going to need to split it up. I want to make 4 burgers, so I'm going to see if I can fit 2 burgers in here, or I might fit 4 burgers in one of these slightly larger ones. We'll see. I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'm not like mixing an egg. I'm not mixing in a bunch of spices. Just gonna basically divide it into 4. Each one will be about 100 grams or 100 and a bit, because this is 454 grams or 1 pound. And that's raw weight. I made these the other day and they do cook down. You end up with about 3.5 ounces of actual meat, like cooked meat. Anyways, I'm not going to fuss over it too much, whether there's any differences, but then just going to form it into a patty. And I want it to be less than 2 inches thick. So that's about right, in order for it to be pasteurized within the 3 hours. I feel like all 4 will fit in here. So I'm going to go with 1 bag, I think. I just want to put a bit of water in here. Okay, I'm going to set it to 135, 3 hours. I think I'm going to need a little more water. Okay, so while that is heating up, I am going to try out the new salt I got yesterday. It's from Redmond's Real Salt. It's the smoked Redmond Real Salt cherry. So I guess they use cherry wood or something like that. Western red cedar wood adds a dark hue. Anyways, I can't quite read it all because it's covered with the label. So I did get this one from Amazon. We don't have all the choices here in Canada, so I'm just going to, oh, it smells great. As soon as I took that off, I'm just going to spoon some over top of this, and then I'll press it in kind of thing. Looks nice. Looks pretty. It looks like I'm putting glitter on these burgers. I swear. I hope it tastes as good as it looks and smells. With Sous Vide, I do tend to season a bit more because it's somehow a lot of the flavor gets lost in there with I guess the 3 hours of, soaking kind of thing. I don't know if you have found that as well. Okay, we are making glitter burgers today. Boy, my kids would have loved this. It does smell amazing. I'm kind of excited. Okay, now let's see if they fit. Oh, I think they're gonna fit. Okay. Oh, it's ready. So I'm going to pop my little clip on here. Then leave about 1 inch while you submerge your bag into the water. What I'm just trying to do is get it as far into there as possible before I close it so that it has squeezed out the air. And then slide this closed. Yeah, I think I'm going to add a little more water because you can see the tops are not, on the back side they seem to be deeper than on the front. So I'm going to add just a bit more water. There is a line on the Sous Vide circulator wand. This is an Instant Pot model, by the way. It's so easy to use. So there's a line that says max. I'm going to go right up to the max. So a bag clip here will help force down that side into the water. And I'm going to try the same thing here. Sometimes you can just sort of position things. That's probably about as good as it's going to get. And what I'll do in about an hour is maybe I'll just flip the bag around, because on the back side it's completely submerged, but on the front side not. It's just sticking out a little bit. I'm not particularly worried, but I don't want anyone out there to be worried. So we're gonna let that go for 3 hours. This is going for 3 hours in the oven there. And I'm going to bring out my air fryer to start working on the pork belly, and I'll see you guys in the next segment. I'm actually going to do that when these are almost ready. So we can kind of show them all at the end together. So I'll see you in the next segment when we're ready to finish my 3 meats for the day, or for the week, I should say. Okay. I'm back, and I'm going to cut up my pork belly now. The sous vide is almost finished, and so is the oven. So I'm going to get these started in the air fryer. I've got my Ninja grill here, which has a wonderful air fry option, and I love the pork belly bites in there. So I am going to just cut it up into chunks. I like them about, that size. But you can do it whatever way you like. You can even just leave them in the strips if you want. Look at Pippi. This is a switcheroo. We have Pippi here instead of Teddy waiting for something. I have to cook it first, okay? I'm going to cook it, and then you can have some. You guys both can have some. Teddy's off doing something else somewhere else. All right. I'd like to have my special mix of kosher salt and white pepper. I do a 3-to-1, fill up a jar, and I put that on everything. Well, I'm out of white pepper, and so I'm going to put this on everything today. Applewood smoked sea salt. Is it sea salt? Yeah. It's the same stuff that I have already put on my ribs. So hopefully it's good. I'm sure it will be. All right, I'm going to get this going. I am going to air fry these for maybe 10 minutes or so. And at 390, I think. So air fry. Wait, I'm going to just make sure my basket's in there. Oh, yes, it is. And I'm just going to go with 10 minutes. I can always put it on longer if they're not ready. I'm going to, sometimes I air fry them for a bit longer and I render out more of the fat, but I'm going to leave them a little juicier this time. So this is why I'm trying the 10 minutes. And what I plan to do is when the burgers are ready, I moved the sous vide from here to over there so that we would have room here. But when those burgers are ready and pasteurized, I'm going to take the pork belly out and put them in here for a couple of minutes just to sear them, make them look a little bit of a darkness on the outside, like a crust, I guess is what I'm trying to say. All this is going to go into the fridge once I'm done dealing with the food that's going to be coming out. And then I'm going to go over some other ideas I have for you guys. I've made some notes, and I'm going to tell you how I figured out these macros, so that if you have a favorite food and you want to figure out how much butter to add to it and that sort of thing, I hope it'll help you. So we'll get to that in a few moments, but first we're gonna make these and fry our burgers and check out the ribs. I don't know what I'm gonna have for dinner. I'm gonna have too many choices now. I might have a little bit of each. That usually works well. All right, we are ready to add the food. So I'm just tossing them in. Okay. We've had our 3 hours here. I did manage to finagle these clips so that everything was nicely underwater. And I don't know how, if that's a critical thing or not, but I just felt better getting it under there. So I'm going to try to carefully take these burgers out. Oh, look at those. There's a lot of fat in here. It's floating in it. So, this is what I mean. I mean, these burgers start out at the, on their label from the store as being almost 80% fat, but then you have all this here in the bag. So doing the 80-20 can be a little confusing. So I'm trying to figure it out as best I can. Now, we will, of course, save this. I'm just going to set it aside for now, but this contains burger juices and fats. I mean, it's going to be great in some broth or something. So I'm just going to set it aside for now, and it'll go in a jar after this. So what I'm going to do is when the pork belly bites are finished, these are going to go into the sous vide. They've been, they're going to go into the air fryer just to crisp them up, because they look a little bit gray. I'm hoping that they are going to be pink inside. I guess we'll find out. This one is thinner, so maybe not. But anyways, it was an experiment. We'll see how it goes. I mean, the other thing is you can sous vide it at a lower temperature for longer to pasteurize it and get it the color you want inside. So I'm learning. This is kind of my first stab at that. I'm just going to check on the pork belly bites and toss them. Yeah, this will be about right when, because they're starting to brown and get a little crispy around the edges, but I don't want to lose I don't want to render all the fat off. Sometimes I get them super crisp, but I'm going to let them just go for the 10 minutes today. While I'm waiting, I'm just going to pour these juices in here. This will make a gravy or a something that I'll use this week for something. The silicone bags, what I do is I put them on the top rack of the dishwasher, and I don't want to turn this upside down, but when you turn them upside down, you can kind of spread them out over that top rack, and they get super clean inside. So I can hear them crackling. Okay, this is about as done as I want them to be. So I'm going to put them in my bowl here, my storage bowl. And I'm going to put these, actually, there was 2 minutes left. I'm just going to put the burgers in for 2 minutes. That should be plenty. Okay, let's see what we have here. They're definitely sizzling. So each of these burgers is a 1/4 pound because that was a pound of beef there. I'm going to just cut one in half because I'm curious. And I see they're varying thicknesses, so there might be some that are more or less done than others, or they might just all be well done, which this one is well done. Let's see this one. Yeah, so more experimentation is needed. I need to lower the temperature of my sous vide and just cook them or have them in there longer so that they're pink in the middle. However, these are still going to be perfectly good. I think that the sous vide I think this will be more tender than normal. So I'm just going to try that. Okay, I'm just going to try a bite here with my friendly helpers down there.
So, hang on. What if I don't want to share with you?
That smoked salt was really good on here. And the sous vide makes these really juicy and tender. And I guess because it's keeping, it's cooking in its juices in there, I do have to share a little piece with the dogs. They are waiting so patiently. There you go. Sit. Lay down. Lay down. Oh, good doggies. Very good. Okay. So those are doggy approved. Let's see how these are. I guess this is going to count as a snack. But in 1 hour, my window closes. Oh, these look juicy. Yeah. Oh, man. I love pork belly bites. Just going to move this over because I want to bring the ribs out and then quickly talk about this other thing. Okay, look at those. So, these are, yes, they are falling off the bone because I can just pick them off with my fork. So this was 3 hours at 300 degrees. I'm not going to touch them because they're so hot. You can just feast your eyes on them. So I do now want to talk about these other things. So what I have over here, I brought out some foods. These are butter bites. They have nothing but browned butter, and they're 1 teaspoon each. And there is a video where I made them, so I will link that below. These are whipped brown butter bites, and they're 1 tablespoon each. And this is obviously butter. And what I did is I took a stick of butter and I just cut it into 8 equal pieces. And so each one of those is a tablespoon. So I will be going over this more on my Tuesday talk. But what I've been doing this week is researching my favorite meats. And I suggest you do the same if you are also wanting to get to that sort of 80% fat range in your Ketovore or keto carnivore. So I set up a free account on Cronometer because I heard that was, they have the very accurate nutrition data in there and they vet it thoroughly. The only problem is I couldn't find everything. I had to kind of go on for a couple of things, I had to go to Carb Manager, try to find it there, or even other places, and then key my own custom food into Cronometer, so I'd have it all in the same place. But the nice thing about Cronometer is it syncs with my Fitbit, and it syncs with my Keto Mojo. So what I did was I put in 4 ounces of each of my favorite foods, like all of these are in there. And tried to figure out from that what was the percentage of fat versus protein. So obviously, like pork belly is like right almost there, 80-20. Short ribs, 80-20, pretty close. I mean, plus or minus a little bit. This, a little bit lower, and I can see that a lot of fat came off into that jar back there. So this one would probably require adding more butter or butter bites than that one, say, and this one. So I've got a few here. So short ribs was, beef back ribs, that's this one here, 74% fat. Short ribs, and those are the big chunky ones. I made some the other day, 80.5%. Pork belly is 78% cooked. If it's raw, it's higher. Eggs, an egg is 62%. So, you need more butter added. Sardines. So lots of sardines I've been eating lately. I'm trying to eat a can every couple of days at least to boost my omega-3s. I forgot to write down the percentage, but it required 2 tablespoons of butter, to get it to that 80% mark. And funny enough, I thought a lamb chop would have more fat. It also required 4 ounces of lamb chop would require a couple of tablespoons butter. And the ground beef, 3.5, or one of these patties, one tablespoon butter to get it to that 80-20. So that's how I kind of figured out a list. I just made a list of my favorite foods and how much butter would it take on Cronometer to boost it into that 80% range. So it just kind of gives me a bit of a cheat sheet. So if I'm stressed and I'm running around and I don't have a lot of time, to think about things, I kind of have an idea of how much more butter to add. Now, it does not have to be precise. It can be over, it can be a little under. I don't want to get hung up on, oh my goodness, I'm short by a percentage. I honestly don't. So it is really just a guideline. It is really just a bit of a sheet. I can't even say it. Cheat sheet. Cheat sheet. Say that 3 times.
Cheat sheet, cheat sheet, cheat sheet.
And we all like different foods. And so I would suggest that you make one up and, just have it for yourself so that if you're trying to throw something together. So, I forgot picanha is another one of my favorites. It's in here. Picanha, I think, was 78%. It's got that nice big fat cap on it. So I had made some of those a couple of days ago. So, that's how I did it. So, and I'll talk more about it in the Tuesday talk. I'll show pictures and that sort of thing. And maybe this is really scribbly, but maybe I'll have this put nicely, like I'll type it out or something on my computer and we'll have it up on the screen so you can have a look at it, or we'll figure out something. So here's my meal prep for the week. I've got some good eating tonight. I'm probably going to do a little bit of each and add some butter bites or even some butter, and it'll be good. And he's looking from place to place. It's just too much, isn't it? All this meat. Okay, so I hope I provided some useful information today, and that if you have any questions, just let me know. Ask me in the comments. I'll try to clear it up as best I can. Don't forget, I am still learning this as well. So it's quite possible some of you watching this already know a lot more than me about it, because I know a lot of people are trying to do this. So if you have information for me or somewhere that I should, something, I have been watching a lot of videos, but if there was one that made it really clear for you, please don't hesitate to tell me so that I can keep learning about it. Because my plan is to do it for the month of November. So I think I'm off to a good start though. So I will see you guys on the next video. Right.
everyone. Blah, blah, blah. If you are new here, I was going to say something else, but I forgot, so cut that out. But I wanted to let you know. I'm rambling now.